Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Today this E90 BMW is going to be modernized with this. It's a digital gauge cluster. Comes with a T10 Torx to help you remove your original gauge cluster. Comes with a communication cable. So you have a bezel for your E90, but this will fit on E70s and E82s, E60s, etc. So depending on what model car you have, you'll just get a different bezel. Nicely packed with the style of foam they use. So here's a look at the LCD itself. Seems to be pretty solid quality. It's very sturdy feeling. This outer bezel's metal. Around back you have the data port and you have your OEM harness connection point. It has a speaker so that it can make the sounds that the car would make from the factory, like turn signal sounds and whatnot. Up top you have a data port here, but I don't think that's utilized at all. So overall, very solid feeling. I'm happy with it. You have this screen protector that you'll take off before you put the bezel in front of it, and it all just lives in your car like that. So full disclosure, this was sent to me in exchange for a review, so I'm not going to end up paying for it, but at the same time, I'm not affiliated in terms of making commissions or anything off of any future purchases. So I'll put a link in the description for them if you're interested. This comes in actually at around $600, which is a way better deal than other options out there, and so far their customer service has been pretty good. So let's get started by removing the OEM gauge cluster. So in preparation, you're going to want to pull your steering wheel down and out. It comes with this screwdriver, so might as well use it. So before you pull your stock cluster out, you're going to want to take note of the mileage listed, because you will have to translate that over to the new cluster. Once you remove these two screws, kind of lift up on your dash a little bit, put your finger in here, tilt it down, pull it forward, and then turn. The harness is cable managed around the back of the cluster. So around back it clips in here, and then you have this connection, and it's a cam lock style plug. And if you're not familiar with cam lock, you basically have to push right here, rotate it, and then it lifts itself out of the connection point. Because of the data connection for future updates, you're going to want to have that cable run to this area. You may want to pull down on the weather stripping. Now we'll just have that thing live in here. So now we'll bring over the new cluster. To start, we'll make this connection here. So I made the cable connection, kind of tucks in and around. If you saw, it doesn't just fold in like the factory gauge cluster. These kind of just sit here for now until you get your bezel in place, and then you can fine tune and get everything dialed in. So before anything, we'll go key on. That was very quick. I have to play with some settings to get the language set properly and whatnot, but the factory default look is a G80 M3. I'll bring the bezel into place. See, these kind of just get guided into place. These screws will hold both the LCD screen and the bezel. You go through the brackets for the LCD screen. Very straightforward installation. It actually fits really nicely all around. The bezel is really good, and this thing is sturdy once you put the screws in. So I'll get the menu set up and start playing around with this, and then I'll come back when I have some input. I'll start going through the menus with you. Putting the key in. That exposure adjusted pretty well. That's kind of how it looks in real life. That is in daytime mode. Put the headlights on. Should go dimmer if we're in full key on. To start with, you basically go through the menus by tapping this, or if you want to, you can go up and down here to get through the different spots. The short press moves down, so I'm gonna hit this. I'm gonna long press it. I'm focusing you in on here, so I'm using the down position on the stock, or I can just tap the BC button. So if I want to, I just long press here, and it gives me, now I can change that to Comfort Plus, Eco Pro, Special, Auto, or Sport Plus. I kind of like how that looks. I'll click return by long pressing, and then we'll go up to theme, tap that. We have simple, technology. It's going to look like the new iDrive 8 in the electric cars. Track mode. That's G80 M3. I had a G80 M3, and when you'd put it in sport displays, you'd get that. And then otherwise, it used to look, and I had an M340i. That's how that car looked. Comfort looks like how the G80 looked under regular driving. So really, you basically have G20 and G80 gauges. I kind of like the simple with the red. Not a lot of themes, but at the same time, this can be updated, and I'm sure people will offer updates. Your date and time is set off of the car itself. It just downloaded that via CAN bus, it seems, language. When I first unboxed it, it was in Chinese, so I had to change that to English. I used Google Translate to do that. So be prepared for that potentially. Now, if you go on factory, I'm going to long press that for a second. It's going to ask for a password. Long pressing. Short pressing, so then I can change the code. Short pressing. Long press. Short presses. The code is 0168. So you can kind of just get used to using just the BC button. You don't have to use the up and down if you get accustomed to this, but I'm long pressing, short pressing for 8, holding, and then hitting OK. Now we have a menu to set our information. So the odometer downloaded off the car, but it's a little off. It's not exactly what I had. I'll go through here. And long press, that's good. Long press, so we'll put that at exactly what it was. And I imagine if you put your original cluster back, it will just auto download what's current, because it does have a matching VIN. So we have our tank liters. Seems like the fuel gauge is accurate as it is. Let's hope we can count on that. So I'm not going to change any of that. Now we can change the vehicle model, but I don't think they offer enough options yet. This is just going to be the car that displays in the middle. So for now, we'll just leave it on F10. I'm sure with the firmware update, they'll put the E90. From what I understand, E90 is coming, and then you'll see your actual car, and you can even change it to the exact color of your car. It'd be cool if they did an LCIM Sport. Chassis setting E is what we want. Not sure what this does. So go to return, and click on, we'll click on the version, and you can see E90 version 1.0, so they've still got some work to do. Right, so we'll show you what it looks like when you put the key off. So that'll be as close as we get in terms of matching the look of the car for now. I'm going to give it a start. Considering I drove an M340i for quite a while, for more than a year, this looks very familiar to me. I'm putting down the emergency brake, lifting it up, putting on my seatbelt, and then taking it off. The fuel seems legit. Miles to empty seems legit. So I imagine a lot of you guys would like that look. I'm going to keep it on simple. And if you just go here and click return, you'll get used to it. Return. Back to the car. The RPMs are legit because I set that in MHD. It's showing properly, it's responsive. No issues there. I'll take it around the block, make sure the speedometer and everything looks okay. That's no issue. Speedometer works fast. Okay, so this is in night mode right now. Day mode, but my camera's adjusting. But the night mode is pretty true to life in terms of how good it will look for you guys. That glare that you're seeing doesn't really show, it's only showing on my camera for the most part. So if you just quickly wanted to change the theme right now, you could just, I'll see how fast I could actually get it done. So if you're driving, that's about as fast as you can do it. And then I'll just try to go back to return. And then back to return. I don't know if it'll time out eventually. Okay, so some thoughts. It seems like it's solidly built. It seems like the interface is pretty fast, and you could add some future functionality provided it's open source enough and people can do some pretty neat things with it. But if you want the look of a G20 or a G80 on your E-Series car, this fits a lot of different cars. It only came out about a month ago. There's going to be future upgrades. I think it's a really neat way to modernize your BMW. I've had a G20 and I've had a G80. I got used to this theme. And it's kind of cool to have it on such an old car. This is from 2008, yet it has all this. These older cars can be made to feel quite modern. I got the heads-up display, digital gauge cluster, F-Series steering wheel, crystal start button, Android head unit. If you like your older BMW, you can make it feel pretty modern, which is quite neat. There's another menu that you should look at. So if you click factory, there's a different code you'd enter. You have more options here. I have adaptive cruise, so I've enabled that. Just so you know, if you do get this thing and you put in code 169, you'll be able to play with these settings. Another thing to note, the traction control lights up on the left there when you press the button. So thanks to CarLife-Mall for sending the hardware. So I think it's cool to have an option for about the third of the cost of other options, and you have it mostly open source. You have the chance to update it and not pay for different themes and all that kind of stuff. So that's pretty cool. And a quick reminder, this car is for sale. I did have some inquiries from out of the country regarding it. I'm looking for any offer over 15, someone willing to do 20, they can get it as is. It's going to include that new cluster now. I'll take a deposit for it right away because we got the 1 Series and we're going to start modding it. The next video is going to be on that car. But hopefully you guys are excited for a new digital dash option. If this is the first video you're catching on mine, please consider subscribing. If you liked it, please give it a like, so rank higher. Thanks for watching.